After hours and hours of telling you why I love the games I love and why I love games in general, I can't help but be a little emotionally struck. First of all, most importantly, all of you who watched this show, especially if you did it front to back, round of applause for you. This marathon of lukewarm at best videos turned out even longer than I could have imagined when setting out at the beginning to talk about one game every day for the entire year of 2024. You have been nothing short of incredibly gracious to me to have offered me so much of your time and attention. But what I'm also struck with by this is the dawning of a reality that I've hidden from all of you in this show. Something that kind of throws the entire tone of this show into flux once I admit, and yet it is also one of the single biggest factors in me creating this show in the first place. I have never played a video game. I'm sorry, it's all been a lie. I've just been summarizing Wikipedia articles and coming up with hollow lip service along the way. I wanted to see if I could fool you all, and I got you. Kidding, of course. Though now I'm kind of curious to see if I actually could pull something like that off. Top 365 television shows next year, perhaps? I've watched like 6 that aren't Star Wars. Seriously though, the actual topic I need to confess about. You know, something so central to the entire premise of someone's favorite media that I have almost completely avoided when discussing this subject. Identity. Ego. Having favorite works of media and actually assigning them as part of who you are. You know how people might be the Mario guy, the Sonic guy, or the Spider-Man guy. Honestly, I'm probably more the Spider-Man guy based on this show than any actual video game series. Now, I have talked about my personal identity on this show, how my ego makes me see myself, but it's typically in the context of larger gaming ideas. I like more complex game systems, I enjoy character more than I enjoy plot. I believe I have a respectable amount of game design knowledge for someone my age. These are things that my ego absolutely tells me are truths about myself. These are identities I would wear on my sleeve. But these are broad qualities about games in general, and even then, my thoughts and feelings about video games don't come up in my day-to-day life that much, unless it's directly relevant to what I'm doing, like playing a video game or making a video about a video game. I don't own many pieces of media-related clothing. My home barely has any media-related decorative items. When I talk to people who don't know me that well, I never bring up media unless they do it first. If someone I'm unfamiliar with asks me what my habits are, I'll quietly sneak video games in among a series of more culturally praised activities. Oh, you know, nothing special. I'd like to go for runs in the morning, I'm learning how to cook, I play video games, really just love being there for my friends and family. I won't lie, some of that is motivated by embarrassment. But it's not like I hide that I play video games either, and it's not like I intentionally don't attach myself to games or series. Hilariously, as a result of me exploring games as much as I do and developing such sound philosophies that allow me to enjoy just about every game I play, it's really hard to lock down what kind of guy I am. In fact, doing this series has been a great excuse to hear from people close to me and see what they think some of the highest scoring games will be, or see their surprise when a game they thought was a favorite didn't end up getting as high as they thought. Although just to be clear, all of those games you think are favorites are favorites. I just have a lot more favorites than you might have thought. Oftentimes, in order to make friends with people, I'll just talk with someone about whatever games they happen to like, because odds are, I'll like it too. But so many times this has led to people close to me labeling me as things that I'm really not, and I don't have the heart or desire to correct them. To some people, I'm an Apex Legends guy, or a Sonic guy, a Xenoblade guy, a Nintendrone, or an FGC sweaty. And look, I obviously love all of those games, but that love is super equal. I simply can't bring myself to say I like Nintendo games more than fighting games, or platformers more than story-driven games, or Donkey Kong games more than multiplayer games. I like them all, and that's where it stops. That's as deep as it goes. I like them all. That's why I needed to do this image compare and make this ranking. I needed to develop an algorithm where I could input myself and my own twisted mind of non-committal contradictions into a stone-cold program and have it tell me with no hesitation what my favorite games mathematically are. I simply never could have done this show without it. Me finding out what my favorites were was actually surprising to me, almost as if I were a viewer of this show myself. And while I framed this all from a positive standpoint, I framed this show around my love of video games, the truth is, the opposite is kind of valid too. Why did I start out talking about identity and ego? Because I haven't had the pure, symbiotic experience with media that I see so many other people have. I have not felt like I was on the exact same wavelength as any game I've talked about. There hasn't been a game on this list that feels like it gets me and penetrates my soul such that I feel this inherent bond with it. Even Xenoblade Chronicles X, which I called the me game, doesn't really feel like something I attach my identity to that closely. I enjoy pretty much every game design choice that game makes, but the entire package as a whole doesn't really feel like me. Pretty much everyone I know has at least one thing they will shout to the heavens that they love or that they're a fan of, that they are proud to identify with. But I kind of do that for everything, which means I kind of do it for nothing. But in reality, despite the fact that for one reason or another individual games aren't a part of my identity like they are for others, you know what I found that I actually do project out into the world? And that people do receive and agree is part of who I am as a person? Video games. Like, the whole thing. I don't watch television, I don't listen to mainstream music, I don't care about sports, I don't read fiction. Even if I don't wear Mario shirts or play his music at parties or talk about him unless the other person brings him up first, even within the circles of people I know who are hardcore gamers, I consistently end up with the tag of video game boy. The understanding that Jason is all about video games and video games exclusively. Which video game specifically doesn't seem to matter that much. Video games, individually, may not be part of my identity, but video games, the construct, are. I mean, it's so simple. I frankly don't know what you're so confused about. With that in mind, I would say there actually is one game. One video game that actually is perfectly in lockstep with my identity. A game that is on the same page as me. A game that shares my core identifying value as an unapologetic lover and ambassador for the goodness of video games. A game I do not simply appreciate as a product of human achievement, but personally resonate with on a fundamental level that absolutely fits as a symbol of my identity. Right? I mean, if you came into this series with even the smallest amount of knowledge about me, I don't think you're going to be surprised by what number one is. You already know what it is, so let's talk about what has now been mathematically proven to be my favorite video game. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm really at a loss for where to begin here. You know, because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the game that is almost certainly identified with me the most as far as other people are concerned, this feels like the only game on this entire show that kind of speaks for itself. Like, I think you get it for the most part, right? It's video games the game. Everyone is here. Every character in series history made a comeback on the base roster with a Hall of Fame level DLC run, the likes of which I'm not sure any other game can match in terms of hype and buzz. It's a premise that not only was instantly beloved by turbo nerds like me, everyone who has ever enjoyed one of these games got to celebrate the feeling of their favorite coming back, an offering so unparalleled and unthinkable that it became taboo to be disappointed in this game. Like, what else could you want? Not only was every character here, but the game played better than it ever had. Little design decisions like how quickly characters launch, the increased acceleration when jumping, being able to cancel the end of a dash into any action, all sound like minor changes, but when put together end up supercharging the energy and feel of combat in this game. No Smash game makes it more satisfying to hit someone than Ultimate. The game looks beautiful given the console it was on, and it has all the supplemental content you expect, like Stage Builder and Home Run Contest, and it has an expansive adventure mode, and customization, and amiibo support, and a VR mode, and that's all wonderful, but you know that's not why Smash is number one. Those things got it up to the plate. Those things earned it its chance to take a swing. But the grand slam comes from this. What have I said multiple times in this show? Fan service does not resonate with me. I don't like it. It's often either distracting or just lacking in substance. I will almost always want something to commit to that is original, rather than fall back on something pre-established. So what gives? How can a game that is exclusively fan service be my number one? This is the difference. Smash Ultimate is not fan service. Okay, that's a lie. Yes, it is. But the fan service is a byproduct of what is truly being serviced here, the games. Smash is so successful because it is not servicing the fans. It's servicing the games that the fans love, which in turn makes fans of those games so much happier. Think about any other scenario we commonly see fan service. Long, ongoing series, superhero movies, Star Wars. In just about all of those cases, the creators are crafting a specific product with its own intention. And then they insert something that fans already know and love, and sometimes that thing enhances the news story, sometimes it distracts from it, but it is always to support the new product. We're bringing back something old and loved so that our new thing might be more loved as a result. This isn't about the old thing, it's about the new thing. You hope they treat the old thing with respect, you hope the creators love its legacy and respect what it means and uses it tactfully, but at the end of the day, they're trying to sell you something new with something old. Smash Ultimate is different because it's not trying to sell you something new. Celebrating the old is the entire point. Respecting and honoring the legacy of these characters and their IP is the entire driving force behind the creative production of this game. They're not using the old stuff to prop up the new stuff. The old stuff is all we got, and we love it just as much as you do. They don't approach it with the mindset of incorporating an IP into Smash. They approach it by figuring out how Smash can best conform around the demands of the IP to match what it deserves and what its fans expect. If you've played Ultimate, I know you already know what I mean, but allow me to share some easy examples for those who don't. In just about any other crossover, the IP that is being incorporated has to be altered to match the visual style of the media it's being put into. Look at any other crossover game and the lengths they go to change how a character looks so that they can better match the new game they are in. And hey, sometimes seeing a character in a new style is part of the fun, but that's not how Smash operates. Donkey Kong looks like Donkey Kong, Solid Snake looks like Solid Snake, Steve looks like Steve. And it might seem like that's easy because you're just emulating what's already there, but I swear to you, it is not. It is not easy to have Kirby stand next to Kazuya Mishima and have them both look exactly like they do in their original media while also looking like they belong next to each other in the cohesive art style of this game. Celebration is the mission statement of Smash Bros. If a series is beloved for its music, it will get a ton of music. If a series is beloved for its characters, it will get a ton of characters. If a character demands a unique game system in order for them to feel like themselves, the Smash team will conform their own game systems to accommodate that of the character, because they deserve it. Because all of these games deserve to be regarded with that level of reverence. Smash goes to lengths that no other company would even consider, because they'll fail to see the monetary incentive. Whereas Smash understands that monetary incentive shouldn't be your first priority, because if you do right by the people will show up. And that has proven to be exponentially true with what is now far and away the most financially successful fighting game of all time. And one of the most financially successful games in general. Smash Ultimate services the fans, but way more importantly, it services the games. It services the developers who created these legends of the medium and in turn creates a far richer, more complete, more intentional representation of its characters than any crossover in history has achieved, video game or not. This is the singular reason why Smash Ultimate is my favorite game, and has probably been my favorite game since it released. I just needed my good buddy Math to confirm it for me. Because Smash and I both agree that each of these IP is a work of media that deserves reverence. It's not using these beloved characters to prop something else up. Propping up these characters is the point, showing mass audiences why Mega Man music has remained so beloved despite being 40-year-old NES music, why people adore the personality of Shulk or Terry Bogard, why it's fun that Tekken has a million different buttons, why it's important to represent the generational ebb and flow of Pokemon by including pocket monsters that span the ages, why, when they introduce Echo Fighters, it is essential to bring in Ken from Street Fighter, because he is the foundation on which the Echo Fighter concept was based on. Why people find the underdog spirit of Little Mac so endearing. Why it hurts to lose a Pikmin. Why it's incredibly hyped to land an all-out attack. Why you can't help but explore all the ways Kirby can copy fighter abilities. Why the banter between Metal Gear characters is so iconic. Why people swear that Fire Emblem characters are unique and compelling individuals. Why fans never shut up about King K. Rool even though the character has been dead for 2 decades. Why Mii's still have value in a post-Wii world. Why you should care about all of these games, why people love them, and why you should consider exploring them. I could keep going. You know I could keep going. But I also know that you already understand what I'm getting at. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate loves video games. It wants you to understand why video games are amazing, and it wants to celebrate the individual traits that makes these games great. And that's literally exactly what this entire show has been about too. I wouldn't be surprised if the tone of Smash Ultimate subconsciously influenced the tone I decided to give this show. An unapologetic love letter to this medium and a celebration of the unique victories of each of these games. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is my favorite video game because it is the only one that feels like a kindred spirit. The only one that feels like a true extension of myself. And the only game that carries the same message as the one I want to leave you with today. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. Please go play a video game.